Okay, here I am again. This was last week's lesson. And for those who were there last week, I forgot to tell something that I thought was really important. So if you're watching this, you're going to get the benefit of something that you missed last time. Okay, so the two letters we did last time were Samekh and Ayin. Here's a Samekh, and I draw it like a soft upside down triangle. It makes an S sound. There are two letters in Hebrew that make an S sound. This is the first one we've come to, Samekh. And here is a verb, samach, and it means to prop up, to assist, to bolster, to aid, to prop, something like that. Here is the noun form, samekh, samekh, and that is a prop or an assistant. Not like a person, but more like a crutch, but not in a negative sense, just something that helps hold you up. And a samekh means a prop or support or something like that. And the ayin, here's the other letter, and it means I. This is an ayin. And that's how you spell ayin as the I. Ayin, yod, nun, sofit. That's ayin, and it means one of these. And when you see this in a word, it often has something to do with vision, seeing, something like that. So, and why was I doing this? Oh, because it starts with an I. Okay. Couldn't get my brain together for a second. Okay. I'm going to mark the vowels two different ways on this. This would just be, okay. Okay. Actually, we should probably start with this one. This is the verb, ah. Oh, and the ayin is kind of like the aleph. I don't even think I mentioned that last time either. It doesn't have a sound of its own. It only makes whatever sound the vowel marking has. So this is ah, don, adon. And it means to experience something plush, to experience something luxurious. And the example I tried to give last Saturday was like if you checked into the top floor of some really classy hotel and you go in and the carpet is really thick and they have the champagne set out and you have a view that goes on forever and the bed looks like it's bigger than king size, it's huge. That's experiencing adon. You're adoning in that room. Here is a noun form, Aden or Eden. So when I find in the Bible, Eden is often translated as pleasant. And maybe your translation has a different word. The one I use most has pleasant. And I think, no, it's more than pleasant. Pleasant is, it's not bad. Aden is something incredibly luxurious and plush and rich and fertile and gorgeous. The garden was beyond what we could understand. And then here is, if you want to say the Garden of Eden, gone. Oops, didn't have a marking under that, did I? I also didn't have it on the sheet that I handed out. I apologize. I was feeling really rotten last week, so maybe it's a good thing if you're watching this. I think it's an awesome help. Maybe, or maybe it's like this. I don't know. I always get confused. Anyway, Gan Eden. Gan Eden. The Garden of Eden. Okay, so moving on. Why did I do that? Oh, because it has a Samekh. I am sorry. I thought I was doing better today. We will see how this goes. It has a Samekh in it. That's why I was doing it. And I just uploaded the lesson, or am uploading the lesson that has the pay or the fey in it. But we're going to do it here. And let's see, how far do I want to go? I'll just pick up this thing and show it. So I'd like to get them all on the same page. And there's two ways to do this. Okay, that's what I'll do. Okay, I'll start with this. Oh, that's a lousy looking Samekh. Okay, let's make it a little bit more even. Okay. Okay, so Samekh makes an S sound. This is without the doggish. It's a fe, F sound, and a resh. We haven't gotten to the resh yet either. Sa, far. And it means to count. But here is the noun. Sefer. Sefer. And it means a book. So how do you get from counting to a book? Like, I'm trying to think how to express it. And it's not like an accounting book. It's not like a log book. It's just the kind of book you read, except it wouldn't be if you say it's a scroll, it's a Megillah. But a sefer is a book. So how do you get from count to book? This is another way that I think Hebrew, having been, I am sure, the first language, filters down into English, because we talk about it the same way. We say that I read an account of the battle at Hastings, or she was going to recount that story in every detail. Recount, account, it comes from count, but it's the story. So this is what this is. This is a book. It's a story. It's an account, which comes from the word count. But because it all has to do with things that are written, here's a sofer. That's a scribe. And sometimes you will see it written slightly differently. It's pronounced exactly the same, but instead of just having the holum over the Samekh, they'll put a holum vav here. Sofer. And that's pronounced exactly the same way, and it's not standardized in the Tanakh, so you will see it written both ways. Now, if you have more than one, you probably won't have the holum vav. Sofrim. Sofrim. Those are the scribes. So when Yeshua is talking to the scribes and the Pharisees, he's talking to the Sofrim and the Perushim. Okay, moving on. Okay, and this was some stuff that I forgot to tell last time that was so important. So I'm glad that I get a chance to make that up. Okay, so first, okay, I don't know which one to do first because I left it off the sheet last week. Okay, so this is, and it's an olive, right? Okay. Kof, which we haven't gotten to. Resh, olive. That's another ka sound. Kara. Kara. And it means to read or to call. When we say, I call myself Robin. Kara. That's the word you would use. It can also mean proclaiming, calling out loudly. It also means to read, which indicates that originally scriptures were meant to be read out loud, not just read in your mind. Now, the word for write is katav. And that's what I wanted to show you and didn't. And does that have a little thingy in it? You know, since I erased it, I don't know. I think it might. Anyway, it either does or it doesn't. Oh, maybe it doesn't. I'm going to guess that. Anyway, katav, that is to write. Neither word, it comes from safar, but they all are kind of intertangled when you're talking about people reading and writing and telling stories. Anyway, I remembered when David was talking about, in his part of the Torah, Torah lesson, talking about what different meanings the letters had and what it meant in this instance, I thought, oh, how did I forget to talk about this? I forgot to talk about it because I didn't put it on the page. Okay, so this is katav. And there are many cases where I feel like you have to kind of reach to figure out what all those letters mean and how they're put together into a word. And some people say, oh, I can see it really well. And to me, I'm thinking, yeah, if you kind of force it in together. But this is one where it is so obvious, and I think it's so cool. Okay, cough, if you remember what cough is, it's your hand. It's supposed to be your hand. We haven't gotten to tav yet. It's the last letter in the alphabet, but it means a sign, an insignia, a mark, something like that. And here's the vet. It means house or inn. To write is for your hand, to make a mark in something. That is writing. Isn't that obvious? I think that is so cool. Every so often, these things are just really clear. Okay, so, and I was going to do all that before I explained, and in my head, I've been saying it wrong. So I've been trying to retrain my tongue to go with the way it's written, and it's still not automatic. And let's see. And that would just be, okay, it's going to have a little yod in there too. I forgot. Okay. Kari Ktiv. And this means read, and this is written. Now, in the Torah, the way the scroll is, and I had thought, because I'd never looked at a Torah scroll up close, I just assumed it looked like these words. It doesn't. They are all one string of letters without breaks and without vowel markings. So the pronunciation and the meaning and where the words get broken up has been handed down through oral tradition. There was a group that you've probably heard of scribes of Sophrim, called the Masoretes, and they got, I'm trying to think, I think it was a long time that they worked on this, like between 600 and 1000 AD, something like that. And they decided that they ought to write down, just like the Mishnah and some of these other things were written down and no longer only handed down orally. They wanted to codify and regulate and get all these things down so that the traditional pronunciation and meanings would be preserved. So they came up with the vowel system, and I think they did a stupendous job. Anyway, so in the Torah, you're not going to have all these vowel markings. And sometimes, even though the scribes did everything they possibly could to hand down the written word exactly as it was given to them, when they made a new Torah scroll, they tried to make sure everything was exactly the same. The size of the letters, if one was a little bigger, how many were on the line, the crowns or the little flourishes on all the letters. It had to be exact. But Sophrim are still human. And there were a few alterations that accidentally slipped in over the millennia. So when the Masoretes are looking at it, sometimes they'll have two different things that they're looking at. It'll say one thing one place, something slightly different. I mean, a letter different, no big difference, but a little bit. Or they're looking at the scroll and they know what they've been taught to say, but that's not what's written. So they developed this policy of karikativ. And what they will do is they will have something, See, an example is, okay, this is going to be, if I remember right, this was from Esther, the book of Esther. And this is with fancier letters, you know, it's going to look really jazzy. Okay, so this would be some letters. I'm trying to think. I knew it when I was talking last week. I think it's Esther 4:13. Um, and so Kaf, Aleph, Mem, Resh, Mem Sofit. And this Amar is a word that's used all the time, and it means to say. Like Moses spoke to the people, saying, and it'd be Amar twice. And God said, what Moses is telling them is God said, and here it is again. You're going to see Amar all over the place. And it means to speak or to say. And if you put the mem on the end, it's they spoke or said. Ka, as a prefix, is going to mean like. So like they said is what it would be. But that did not make sense in did I have that backwards? I think I did. Okay, anyway, I think with the ba in they said. Okay, that would be it. I apologize. It's coming back to me. Okay, this is what would be written in the Torah. In they said. In they said. That isn't really a phrase that flows, right? But you saw what I just did. I had, maybe this was a good thing that I did it this way, because that was a cough, and I changed it to a bet by doing that. There is not much difference between those two letters, and that is not a strange thing that over several thousand years, this is going to have, on some scrolls, a slight alteration. Or maybe just over time you couldn't tell because the ink had faded or something. So that's what they had, what the Masoretes had was in they said. In they said. But they've been taught to say ka amram. And they're looking at it and it says ba amram. And they want to record, they want to duplicate exactly what they were given. So they're going to write it this way, because they will not take it upon themselves to change what is written on the scroll. But they will put out in the margin, in parentheses, what they were taught to say instead. And in this case, it would be okay. So they would have as they said or like they said, which fits in the context better. And so this would be out in the margin. And so that's the policy of Kari Kati. This is Kari, this is Kativ, this is what's written, this is Kari, what is written. And so you have both of them there. Okay, let's see what, okay, oh, then Amram. So when I was telling people last week, this was kind of a stream of consciousness thing. May not be all that useful, but I'd write something, oh, you know what that looks like? That reminds me of, and then I'd go on to the next thing. So here you have Amram. You think, oh, that's Moses' father, Amram and Jochebed. Nope. That's not his name. His name is not he said, or they said. And is there another? Okay. And these are both mem sophites. And okay, that one. Okay. Ayin, mem sophite. That's one word. Here's another word, ram. Means people. Sometimes you'll hear goy as people or nation. Is another word that's used that means a people. And ram means high or exalted even. Ram is exalted people. And his name, Moses' father's name, was exalted people. It wasn't they said. Okay, so, nope, that's the other one. Is that it? Is that all I was going to do? Are we already done? No. Oh, I skipped something. Okay, here we go. Going back to the Masoretes. Sorry about that. Okay, so the word Masorete, as we say it in English, comes from Masorah. Mem, Samekh, Vav, Resh, Hey. And I wrote that pretty sloppy. But Masorah. And that means tradition. So the Masoretes were ones who wanted to make sure the tradition that had been given to them got passed on to the next generation and beyond. So that's where that came from. And so then I was trying to find out, and this may not be useful to you, it just shows you where my brain was last week. I thought, okay, I want to know what the three-letter root is. All these words we're taught comes from a three-letter root, right? So what three-letter root is Masorah? I couldn't find it. I looked all over the place. And just to show you, these are random words. I thought, well, the obvious thing was the mem at the beginning is often a prefix, and the ah at the end could be a suffix, so it's probably masar. Except there isn't a three-letter root, masar, with this thing in there. And so then I thought, let me put Masorah back up there so you can see what I was doing. I'll just write the consonants. I won't worry about the vowel markings. Masorah. Okay. Oh, but it had, yeah, it had a vav in there. Masorah. Okay, so I thought this would just be a vowel, right? So this would be the three-letter root. Nope, that didn't work. So I thought, okay, so that is a prefix and that's a suffix. We're going to have sur, except, and that is a three-letter root for a word, except it means to turn aside. And I don't think the Masoretes were trying to turn aside from anything. So then I thought, oh, what if that's a prefix and this is a vowel, but then you have Sarah. That is also a three-letter root, but it means to apostatize. So that's not what they're trying to do either. So that can't be it. And so the bottom line is, you now know a couple of other words that might be useful to you someday, but I couldn't find that out, and I'm still curious, so I'm going to keep searching. But that's what you have to go through. Oh, and I also thought, well, maybe, because I've said a couple times that a noon is a weak letter, so I thought, okay, so maybe this was a prefix, and that used to be a noon, except that isn't a three-letter root either. So anyway, I never could find it out. But then my stream of consciousness is Sarah. So that you don't think Sarah, Abraham's wife, was named apostasy. Hers was spelled different. She has the other S sound vowel. That's a sin, Sarah. And Sar means prince. Sarah is princess. So that's what her name meant. And I guess I think that's finally it. Okay, so I am up to date with you guys, and I will see you Saturday.